This program is brought to you by the Reeves Law Firm, www.reevesfirm.com.
In the know. Good evening, everyone. In the know. Tony Reeves, fire. Following the news in any way, shape, or form. No shortage of things to talk about. What does it mean? What will it bring? This is a reality we simply have to accept. Tony Reeves, fire. Tony Reeves. Let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, sorry about that. This is the joy and pleasure of technology. So I want to make sure I finish up my last bit of discussion with regards to treating sources. And like I said, it's just a hiccup. You know, this is the first of an ongoing series. And of course, you've been with me for those of you who have followed me for a number of years, you're going to be with me for a while here. We're going to keep this thing rocking and rolling. So I want to kind of finish off this point here. Again, ultimately, this is the ultimate point that I want to talk about with regards to your doctor. Here's the scenario that basically plays itself out. You're applying for disability benefits. Usually because at some particular point, you got a doctor that basically recommends that you should give some serious thought to actually applying. Sounds great. So then what ends up happening is that you find yourself in this unique position. Okay, you find yourself in this unique position of trying to determine where you're going. So hold on 1 second here. Let me make sure I fix this accordingly. Hold on. Make sure I live this here so this way you can see it on the side. All right. Like I said before, this is going to sound kind of weird. And like I said, when you're sitting here and you're going through this is going to sound weird, but let's go back to our original premise. Your doctor recommends that you're applying for disability. You're giving some serious thought to the consideration of actually doing so. As a result of actually doing so, what ends up happening? Well, you're trying to figure out why, when you're sitting here looking and applying for disability benefits, why is it Social Security still can't approve you when your doctor has clearly said that you are disabled? As I indicated previously, here are the things that they typically look at. Okay, so there's a few things that pop into play. They're going to look at whether or not the doctor's actually seeing you. They're going to ask the question, what type of relationship in terms of treating relationship? And treating relationship is more than the doctor actually just seeing you and talking to you. They're going to want to know specifically what types of treatment and what types of things is that doctor actually doing for you. Are they referring you to any doctors? Are they giving you any type of follow-ups for any type of objective testing? Anything of that nature goes a long way towards helping them determine the extent of the situation that you have. So that's the other thing. So then you go to the third step, as I indicated before. Is your medical records, in terms of if the doctor says that they believe that you're disabled, is that supported by other evidence in their files? So it's not, I'm not saying it's not enough for them to actually just talk to you and get good information about you. What I'm ultimately saying is, what other evidence in your file are they relying upon other than just what you say to support their position? But the thing that most people don't have a control over is the consistency. And when I say consistency, I'm saying, is your medical evidence consistent with other things that are in your file? They want to know what else is in your file that can support what you are saying. I mean, what they are saying about why you're not disabled. So that's the other big thing. And then, of course, if they're how specialized they are. You know, if you've got problems with fibromyalgia, are you going to a rheumatologist or neurologist? You got nerve problems, you're going to a neurologist. You've got problems with your joints and things like that, are you going to an orthopedist? Or if you're going to diabetes, are you going to an endocrinologist? Most people don't have the luxury of going to specialists, but I'm just telling you that a lot of times a specialist can be beneficial to your case, because if your argument is that you are disabled because of a specific thing that your specialist is treating you for, their opinion, especially if that doctor is giving an opinion about that area and that's what they're specializing in, will go a long way towards your case. The reality is that the thing that gets most people is the consistency portion, meaning, is your medical records consistent with the opinions of other providers in your case? Most people, and I've said this before, most people have no idea. Okay, this is not trying to be funny. Most people have no idea about what other doctors have said about their condition. So what happens is that you're relying so heavily on what your treating doctor tells you, but you're not necessarily aware of what other doctors are saying. So guess what? If you have one doctor that's saying you're disabled, but then you've got 4 or 5 that are saying that they think your condition gives you the ability to do certain things that would basically rise to the level of doing work, guess what? Now you're in a situation where you're asking yourself, okay, all right, well, my doctor says this, these other doctors said that. You're kind of stuck because you don't know what those other doctors are saying. And that's usually, most people will ask, well, how do I find that out? Usually you're not going to find out if there's any inconsistencies until you get to like the hearing level and you can see the entire file. But you can ask the DDS worker, the Disability Determination Services worker, if you, in your area who's handling your case, if there's any discrepancies or conflicts in your records, so that you can have the opportunity to resolve those with your treating doctor. Long story short, keep this in your mind. When you're trying to get an idea of whether or not you believe your medical doctor should be given a lot of weight, keep all the things that I've just addressed in mind. Now, this may be, like I said, this is the first time I've done a video online live where it's broadcasted to my website. We're having all kind of exciting things going on here. So if at any point in time you find yourself not sure if you're in a situation where you can't fully understand why enough weight is being given to you, why enough weight is not being given to your treating doctor, look for a representative in your area or abroad, because a lot of representatives do federal, since it's a federal practice, they can practice from anywhere. Have someone take a look at your case so they can give you a better indication as to why your situation is a case where so you have a better understanding of why they're not giving as much weight to the opinion of your treating doctor. Like I said before, we're going to be doing these the first of every month. So make sure you sign up. When you come on, you do have the ability to ask me questions live. You can either ask me through Google Hangout, or you can actually, if you signed up and you have the opportunity to submit questions as well, we can make this thing do what it do. If you have any questions at all further for future topics, please. As you know, I do my weekly videos once a week, but for live opportunities, oh, wait a minute. So let me get down here. Okay, now let me go ahead and stop. I'm going to read this out loud. Good one, Andre. You caught it right before I got ready to hop off. He said he wanted to thank me for referring him to Thomas Bowen CPA. You're totally welcome. Question is, I'm going to say it kind of slow, so please forgive me. You started receiving disability benefits about a year ago, but I wasn't able to keep it. I'm paying Chrysler back now until 2020. I've lost half of my pension because of the back pay. How can I recover some of the money back? I mean, will Social Security allow me to work part-time without cutting my Social Security benefits? Very good question. All right. There's 2 programs that I tell people about when they're thinking about re-entering into the workforce. He's actually got a couple of questions here, so let me see if I could attack each one. First of all, how can you recover some of your money back? Now, when you're saying you're paying back Chrysler, my first thought in my mind is, by saying you're paying back Chrysler, ultimately what I'm hearing is that you probably got a long-term disability policy that you received, and as a result of it, I'm just guessing because I'm just going based on the information you provided. If you provide clarification, please, by all means. I'm assuming that you're basically reimbursing the long-term disability carrier for monies that you may have been receiving during the disability process. That's what I'm thinking in my mind if you're talking about paying the money back. If you're talking about how can you recover some of that money back, if you're talking about from Social Security, I'm not sure if you can, which is why I tell people, when you find yourself in these weird places, contact Social Security, sit down with them for a personal conference, explain to them your circumstances. Those people are really good about letting you know what you can and you can't do. Now, you also asked will Social Security allow me to work part-time? Okay, let's talk about work for a second, because work becomes a little trickier. There are two programs that pop up fairly regularly in the work standpoint. One is what we call the trial work period. The other one is what I call the ticket to work. The ticket to work program, I would tell you to contact the Social Security Administration, because there are certain employers working with the government, of course, to help people who are thinking about transitioning back into the workforce. That's the first thing. The other thing is the trial work period. That's the people who are trying to get back into the workforce with the purpose of kind of getting off Social Security. Social Security recognizes that you're not going to be on Social Security forever. So you have an interest in at least trying to get back to work. So what happens is that if you make over it's a threshold amount. It's not necessarily an hour amount. It's basically a dollar amount. If you make over a certain dollar amount for 9 months over a 5-year window, they basically won't cut you off on those 9 months, because they recognize that that's a period of time where you're trying to re-engage back to the workforce. Now, I want to be clear about something here for a couple of reasons. First, if you're getting supplemental security income, any income or resources you receive from any other sources, including work, may reduce the amount of money you're receiving. So the trial work period is really more designed for those people who paid into Social Security. Now, what you're specifically asking is part-time. When people ask me questions about part-time, what they're really asking is, if I make enough money that's below the threshold for Social Security in terms of earnings, just to supplement what I'm doing, will that result in my benefits being cut off? All right, here's a couple of things that I tell people when people tell me they're thinking about trying to work to supplement their Social Security. Let's assume that this is not a supplemental security income situation, that this is where you paid into Social Security and you're just realizing now that what you paid into doesn't give you enough. All right. And let me go ahead and go back here. Andre's giving me some further clarification. I retired early from Chrysler. Chrysler was paying my pension and my Social Security together. So when I received the back pay, Chrysler said, "Hey, you can't get paid twice. That's why I'm paying it back." Okay. Pension plans work a little differently. And I tell people that when you're talking about a pension situation, pension is actually, part of it is kind of a contract. So it really depends on what the contract of your pension says. So if you're curious about whether or not how they interplay with Social Security, you're probably going to need to speak to an attorney that deals with ERISA benefits, because that's more of a ERISA benefit issue than a Social Security issue. Okay. Now, but going back to your original question, when asked the question about will Social Security allow me to work part-time, here's what you need to be aware of. If you're thinking about working part-time, okay, there's no magical number that you can make that will keep you off of the radar for Social Security. I've said this to people before. Let me make this point abundantly clear without being disrespectful, so don't take it this way. So please forgive me if it sounds this way. You have an ongoing duty to prove that you are disabled. It does not end once you get disability benefits. It is ongoing, okay, until your benefits convert to retirement. That's a little totally different scenario. But it's important for you to understand that. The reason why it's important for you to understand that is because if you attempt to do part-time work, a lot of times people come to me and they're asking about this, well, can I work part-time without it cutting off? Let me tell you what you're asking me, because this is what I'm hearing as an attorney. Can I make enough money that it does not alert Social Security? Meaning they're not going to be concerned because I'm not making as much that triggers them. And I tell people, you could be making $1 a month. The fact that you're doing something consistent is still something that might alert Social Security, because you have an ongoing duty and responsibility to prove you're disabled. So it's a nice way of basically saying that it's not a matter of Social Security allowing you to work part-time, because the reality is you could choose to not work and they still have you on their radar, because they have to do reviews every few years anyway. The reality is that if you try to attempt to do work, is there a possibility that Social Security may make the determination that they need to review your case because of the consistency of your work? Sure, absolutely. The reason why is because you have an ongoing responsibility to prove that you're disabled. It doesn't disappear. It doesn't, it does not disappear, and it does not stop merely because you found yourself in a situation where, you're thinking, I'm just going to make only a few dollars here and there. Okay? All right. Again, I want to thank everybody for joining me. This was, like I said, I always like to say it's a work. Anytime you're using technology for the first time, this is a work in progress. I'll be doing these every month. The way this will happen is, of course, this show will rebroadcast. It's kind of funny because I end up doing two because I actually kicked myself off of the early one. I'll be rebroadcasting this show for the next 4 to 5 days, and then I'll be announcing when the next one is. So please, for those of you who are looking to have someone that you can speak to live about your questions and so forth, please use this as an opportunity. Historically, I've done these in the past a long time ago. My attitude was, if I don't have any questions, I'm on for 30 minutes. If I have questions, I'm on for about an hour and a half. This is the time where you can get your questions answered. So please don't be shy. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful week. And thank you for joining me here with Disability Talk Live with attorney Dan.